The number one must do before launching an impact program. You're an organization that has decided it wants to make an impact or do something more to engage with the community around you. Let's say you get an idea. You're running an effort as an organization that is really successful in one particular area. Maybe it's where you're located. Maybe it's somewhere that you're already serving. This applies to any type of organization. It's not restricted to for-profit. It's not limited to nonprofit. It's not something that doesn't apply to government agencies or doesn't apply to big businesses or small businesses. When you get an idea to make an impact, just because you're successful in one area or one community doesn't mean you're automatically going to be successful in launching that same thing in another community. Let's say you have an idea that you want to implement. You're running a program in Chicago, which happens to be where I live, and you decide that because it's so successful and you're getting results, you feel like you're really serving a community and engaging with them, making an impact, that you want to introduce the same thing in Milwaukee. It's not that far away. It's a day's drive back and forth between Chicago and Milwaukee, both in the Midwest, so you assume that it's going to be similar. What most organizations do is they take the program that they're running in Chicago and they'll go ahead and launch the same thing in another region. They say it's successful here, so it must be successful there. Let's give it a try. And then they're disappointed because the results aren't exactly the same. You're having trouble getting traction. Maybe you don't have the same team in place. You definitely don't have the same dynamics because it is an entirely different city and you're applying different resources to it, even if it feels similar. For example, you have a team operating out of your Chicago location that is different than the team that you're operating out of your new Milwaukee location. You have different people with different personalities and strengths. You may be the same organization, you may have the same mission, you may have the same leadership, but you have different dynamics on the ground. If you're going into a new community with an idea that's working somewhere else, don't worry, you're doing something that most people are doing. It's pretty common. But if you want to be successful in implementing your new initiative, if you want to make an impact in a similar way in the community you're going into, there's one thing that you have to make sure that you're doing, and that is having conversations and talking to people. This sounds simple. It is simple at its core because impact is made through relationships. The only way that we can have an impact in someone's life is to be involved and engaged with another individual. It's one-to-one relationships, it's interactions and conversations that make an impact. Even the words I'm speaking right now are having an impact on you. However, it also takes time, which is why so many organizations rush this step. They'll take what's happening in Chicago and say, let's apply this to Milwaukee because we're doing it, it's successful, it must be working. And it may take a couple months to a year to have the conversations and build the relationships it takes to go into that new area with success. And when I say new area, that can mean a wide range of things. It can be an organization that is taking its community engagement efforts from one region to another, like my Chicago to Milwaukee example. It could be an area in which you're trying to expand a service from one core area to something that's similar, maybe tangential, but not exactly the same. But there's a key reason why it's important to have conversations. And the reason is because circumstances are not the same between program to program, between engagement effort to engagement effort, between city to minor metro area, between minor metro area to rural area, and so on. There are differences in each of these equations. And as I've mentioned before, you're using your team, you're bringing in a team to do the work, and you have different people engaged. Any completely different mix of people is going to bring a different dynamic. Social relationships change based on the dynamics of who's in the room, and that's the same for regions, for programs, for situations, for problems. The first thing to do when you're trying to have an impact or go into a new area or just have deeper community engagement in any specific way is first to talk to the people impacted by the issue. And let's just make up an example. Let's say the issue is around veteran services. You're running a successful program in Chicago around veteran services, and you want to do the same thing in Milwaukee. Well, the thing is, between those two areas, there are different influential industries. There are different key stakeholders. You have different people with different personalities in elected office. You have different cultural beliefs. You have different policy nuances. Even though there may be a core problem that's very similar, the way that problem needs to be addressed will vary based on the circumstances that you find yourself addressing them in. It's the reason so many programs with good intentions don't scale or don't translate from one area to the other, because you're taking a template that was built in one particular circumstance or one particular environment and trying to apply it to a completely different set of circumstances. Talking to the people impacted in the community will highlight what the real issues are, what the real challenges are, and what people are saying their needs are around. Maybe in a smaller metro area, an issue may be around transportation versus in an area that is larger and has a strong transportation system. And so the key way that you can address the problem is by helping people get transportation to those services. Well, that might vary and be something entirely different in the place that you started in. So having those conversations is a must do. However, you don't want to only talk to the people impacted by the issue. You also want to talk to other organizations that are working on the issue. These organizations, as I mentioned, might be elected officials. They might be other nonprofit organizations. They might be informal community groups or community advocacy organizations or religious institutions. You'll find as you talk to other people working on the issue that the amount of leverage that they have, the amount of resources that they have, and the amount of influence they have in the community may also vary from the place that you're starting from or your assumptions around what's actually happening in the community. In having these conversations, it also might reveal different ways to work in that region. So let's say you're a fairly large organization, and going back to that first example, you started in Chicago and you want to move your work into Milwaukee. Well, maybe through having these conversations, you find out that you might be a better donor if you're a large company. That community might benefit more by you providing some funding, sponsorships, or grants to help carry that work forward. You might find there's another organization that's doing something complementary to what you're doing, and you can partner and market and do outreach together, expanding your reach more quickly and helping to build trust more quickly. You may also find that your role is to be an advocate for the issue in the community and to continue to build relationships before you come in. There's all kinds of ways to make an impact that don't directly have to do with starting a program or a new service. Sometimes building relationships and being a support in a new community can have a bigger impact than trying to do it yourself and stretching your organization thin, and sometimes creating competition for resources in an area where people are already working. So if you want to be successful in launching a new community impact program, don't make the common mistake that many organizations make. Take the time to do your research, to have conversations, and to build relationships. Building relationships might take time, but it always pays off in the end. It pays off through trust. It pays off through doors opening through introductions. It pays off through being more effective because you're coming in solving the right problem from the beginning. I'll follow up with another video in the future about some of the questions and conversations you may want to have with people impacted by issues and community groups that are working on the issue in a new area in the future. So like and subscribe if you'd like to learn more about running effective community engagement programs and truly having an impact with your organization's model. Profound Hope Industries helps mission-minded organizations use their programs to create legacy while balancing purpose and profit. If you'd like to connect with us, there's a link below in the comments where you can contact us and find out how we can help your organization directly advance its initiatives and accomplish its goals around community impact. Thanks for watching.